Okay, what is an owl's favorite dance? The hula.
Hey, hi, hello, welcome. You're back here at the Nerd for No Reason podcast. You're joined by your host, myself. I'm Raven. And then there's another person here.
It's me, myself. I'm Mark. Yeah.
And that's how you do a podcast, kids. Thank you.
That's right. Good night, everybody. Shortest episode ever. I got stuff to do. The world of Hyrule is not going to save itself.
Oh, yeah. Zelda weekend.
Yes, Zelda weekend. I probably should have stayed up till midnight on Thursday to get the special edition, but I didn't know anywhere around here that was going to do it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, first thing or Friday morning, it was, oh, we had a good time at midnight release for Tears of the Kingdom. Here's all the special editions we sold, and we don't have any more. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. But
Was it
I
like
can't
live things? Like people were actually like doing things in stores? I
Yeah.
cannot imagine like a game shop being like, we're open at midnight.
Well, there's this little mom and pop operation,
Oh.
this little locally owned thing that is that we have up in Macon. Where it's called Retro Raven. Shout out Retro Raven, where they specialize in, as the name would suggest, retro video games. Like they literally have everything. It's wild. You walk in there and it's just a small shop, but they got all kinds of stuff. Old Sega CD games that were banned and outlawed. They got everything from like cheap NESs to like Switches to newer stuff. It's pretty awesome. Like they even sell Atari games to let you know like what kind of stuff. Anyway, so sure enough, they did a midnight release thing and sold a bunch of special editions, and it looked pretty cool. And yeah, had I known they were going to do something, I would have reserved the special edition and got all the pins and the artwork and all that. But I will say this: I have played it a lot the past couple days.
Mm-hmm.
I have looked up absolutely nothing on it, so I'm truly playing this game blind. It is super fun and super hard, which is wild to me because I am running across camps of enemies and they are wrecking my shit. And I'm like, we are in the beginning part of this game. They should not be this hard. And I mean, they are toasting me up. So much so I messaged a friend of mine. I was like, are you getting beat up by these low level enemies? He's like, oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm like, man, what the hell's going on? But it's still fun. It's forcing me to play better, to get good, as it were. And like without spoiling too much, it is a very much a direct sequel, but you don't need to play Breath of the Wild to play this one. Like very much like Majora's Mask is a direct sequel of Ocarina of Time, but you don't have to play Ocarina of Time to play Majora's Mask. But it's fun and different, and yeah, it's just an adventure, which is what I enjoy the most about Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even done, like, I don't even know if it's gone to the area where they have like the divine beast were in the original. I don't even know what they have this time because they're just like, oh, trouble's in these regions, go check it out. And I haven't even been to those regions yet. I've just been walking around just gathering stuff and getting my shit pushed in by low level enemies. It's an adventure. Yeah. So it's cool. Go out and play it. Raven, go out and play it.
Your brother really wants to get it, so maybe we will. He was like, we can both buy it, and then we can sit next to each other and play it. And I was like, bro,
That's the way to sell it.
that's a lot of money to spend for two of the exact same game.
Right.
But
And to be
Yeah.
fair, it is very expensive even for a Nintendo game, because a Nintendo game is going to be the same price now as it's going to be like 10 years from now.
right,
And $70 is a very steep price for a video game, period. And I get it. But I will say that for it being a direct sequel and having very much the same engine, we'll call it, the same engine under the hood, it looks and feels and acts like a different game. And the fun part that I've had so far as someone who really enjoyed Breath of the Wild so much, it is my favorite game ever, is the overworld map, the generic map where I've spent the majority of my time so far, is very similar. It's the same bones, and you can go to a lot of the same places you could in Breath of the Wild. And mainly what I've been doing is, I wonder what's here. Let me go check this part out. Let me go see what's happening over here and see if the same groundwork is still there. And I do that, and I see what's different, and then I get all excited because there's something different. And that's, and it's a blast. It's I cannot wait to put more time in this game. So,
very
and
nice.
yeah, so
Sounds like a good
that's
time.
yeah. So that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to?
You know, just vibing, having a lovely little birthday weekend for my baby boy Mudslide, who turned 4 on Saturday.
I thought Mudslide was older than that.
No, he was a
No?
COVID baby. We got him in 2019.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
That's
man.
why he's so scared of everything. Hee hee hee. But yeah, so Chris had to work that night, so we ended up taking him out with us, and we went to lunch, and then Chris was like, okay, I gotta go to work. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna go to a nursery and look at some plants, because maybe Mudslide will have a good time with that. Spoiler alert, it was so packed in there because people are probably buying like plants for Mother's Day and stuff. And so he was just like, oh my God, there's so many people in here. And I'm like, dude, it's really okay. Like, if I brought Boo, Boo would just be like, yo, this is cool. I get to sniff plant. And Kavik would also be like, ooh, sniff plant. But Mudslide's like, stay as close to Mama's feet and try and trip her as possible, while also trying to get away from every other person. And so, but he had a good time. All that to say, he did have a good time because he's like, oh, I'm getting to go outside and I went for a car ride. And I actually just dropped my car off at a shop. So I went to go pick up a truck that my aunt and uncle are letting me borrow. It's a Ford Ranger. Ford fucking Ranger.
That's right.
And a nice, grass green. They call the truck Sprout. And Mudslide is so scared of that truck. When we took him outside to go potty and just had to like walk past it, past our little like walkway, he was like, what is this? And I was like, dude, it's a car. You see these things all the time. And so now that's just going to be a fun time for the next probably week while my car is getting worked on. That mudslide's just gonna be freaking out. Bless his little soul. Uh, you remember when we talked about the book? I'm glad my mother died. Or is
Oh
it?
yeah.
Yeah. The Jeanette McCurdy. I wanted to say
Yeah.
Miranda Cosgrove so bad, and I was like, that's the wrong one. I don't know why. But I did finally listen to it because it came up in my library for free. And so I was like, sweet. So I've been on my book binge this week. But oh my goodness.
Isn't it fascinating?
Yes. I feel so bad for poor Jeanette McCurdy.
The thing that's always wild, because I've always wondered to myself, like, as a kid, and even now as an adult, just a different version of this, but as a kid, I remember thinking to myself, like, what if you were raised and you thought that the letter Z was actually the letter A?
Right?
And you're alpha, and you just like learned different things like that, and when you spelt something, you would read it as normal, but everyone else would look at it as like gobbledygook.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what her life was like, to where, spoiler for anyone who has not listened or read the book, we're about to get into like some really weird details, so just, yeah, either fast forward or just strap in for what you're about to hear. But for her being like 15 and her mother's still wiping her butt,
Yeah. Like fully.
and it's completely
there's no
normal
privacy.
to her. Yeah.
Like the fact that she said she was like, I don't know, between like 10 to 12, and she was still taking showers with her 16-year-old brother because her mom
Right.
was just like, you don't know how to wash your hair properly. And it's like, has she ever tried to wash her hair? And my God, this woman just completely had these children's lives in a chokehold of just
Mm-hmm.
like, mother knows best, and if you try and think otherwise, I'll tell you something. Oh my gosh. This whole book was just like so eye-opening
It was.
about like, I don't know. Because I have definitely been very much into true crime and a lot of stuff like that for a long time. And you hear about like people that try and be so overly into their like kids' lives or to other people's lives. And this one just like felt like it took the cake. Like the fact that nobody like killed for this woman is like kind of surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely had the Munchausen's by proxy, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But like I get that she like was sick, but at the same time, like she had beat her cancer, and then she's like, we can use that to our advantage every single time. And it's just like, ma'am, you don't have to bring up your cancer for like the most ridiculous thing ever. But oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was actually telling Kelly yesterday, because the kids have started watching Victorious again. I was like, I can't even watch this show or like iCarly or especially Sam and Cat
Oh
now.
my god, yeah.
After listening to that Jeanette McCurdy book, like it is so wild, especially like the Dan, any
Yeah.
Dan Snyder produced thing. It's so weird just to hear her describe. And you were listening to the audiobook, right?
Yes. So she
Okay.
is fully telling it. And
Mm-hmm.
did you read it or did you listen to it?
I listened to it.
Okay. So the fact that you can like fully hear her talking about it and you can like hear how it makes her feel. It's
Mm-hmm.
just so upsetting.
And there was one scene or one part of the book in particular, and I think it was when she was talking about her therapist, and she kind of had that revelation of like, oh no, I've been basically like everything that I thought was normal is completely not normal, and my mom has basically fucked up my whole mental state my entire life. And you can hear her kind of break down,
Hmm.
and I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, this is real. Oh man. Yeah, it was crazy.
Or even the part where she was like, we were at the doctor. Doctor pulls her mom out and is like, hey, her weight is like significantly low for her age. Is she eating okay? And her mom's like, yeah, 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 no, she eats all the time. And Jeanette's just like sitting in there and she's like, but she knows about our like special diet and, our calorie counts and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, this
Yeah.
poor girl. And,
And
there's plenty of people that definitely grow up in situations like that. And it's
mm-hmm.
so sad to have to think about that, like, Jeanette's at least like she had the money to be able to like kind of help herself get out of it, but like that's a system that some people just kind of stay stuck in, and it's so sad.
Yeah. And I've
Ugh.
been trying to figure out who um who the older man was she was dating. For
Oh yeah,
like
that dude that was like 27 when she was like 18.
17 or 18 or something like
Yeah.
that, like he cheated on his wife or something. I was like, who is this? And then I went and looked it up. I went and looked it up because apparently they got they got caught on the beach or something. So I was like, oh well, if TMZ got a hold of it, let me go look up TMZ.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and I was just like, I don't know who this person is, you know.
He's
So.
Jesus Christ. Duh.
Jesus Christ is Jason Bourne. But no, it was a wild adventure. I'm glad she got out of it. Um, you know, as bad as it sounds, I think her mother passing away was the best thing that ever happened to her. You know?
Yeah. Definitely. But if you guys haven't listened to this book, it is a very real book. So if you're like the kind of person that's like something might make me sob, maybe don't listen to it at work. I definitely listened to it at work and I was just like, "Oh my God, like I'm brushing a dog." And just like, what am I listening to?
Yeah.
But it is phenomenal to listen to her eventually like break through this reality of realizing that her mom was her worst enemy while thinking that she was like the most wonderful person on the highest pedestal closest to God, essentially. But yeah.
And and the if you listen to the book, and I think it's important that you listen to it objectively, because you can see a lot of patterns and behaviors that manipulative people use.
Hmm.
And I think once you are able to kind of pinpoint those, it will help you in your life. I have family members that have used tactics that Jeanette's mom has used or used in this book, just like, oh, well, we can do this, or how come you don't want to do this? Don't you love me? I'm your mom. Like I have seen that play out with family members in real life, and it struck a very particular chord with me.
Hmm.
And as anyone who has family members like that, you'll hear it and be like, oh, this makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There were definitely parts of it where I was like, oh, this makes me feel very uncomfortable because, I recognize those symptoms or behaviors. That's the word I'm looking for. Those behaviors And yeah, so and it's a fascinating story. I don't know if there's a Grammy or Oscar for books, but she needs some kind of award because it's great.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh man. All right, let's take this big weight off of our shoulders. Set it over here in the corner and let's talk about something super fun. Let's
Oh
talk about
yeah.
this week's movie.
Pika
Uh
Pee.
I was trying to figure out like how to lead into it. I couldn't figure it out. We did Detective Pikachu this week. This all right. I'm sure that this is not your first time seeing this, is it?
No, of course not.
Okay, good. It's not my first time either. I will go ahead and start off. I'm not going to ask you the question that I ask every week
Go for it.
because I want to start it off. This is my absolute favorite depiction of Pokemon. Like watching it this time and then watching it from like kind of a critical, I'm a movie reviewer type of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
There's little details in this that are just works of art. Notoriously, animals are hard to animate in any medium.
Yes.
They have a scene in the beginning of the movie where they show the cops walking into the police department with Arcanines or Growlithe. I can't remember which one. And they look like real dogs. Like they are walking like real dogs. Mm-hmm. Followed right next to a Squirtle or Charizard. I can't remember. But walking like I would imagine a real Charizard would walk. It is just the little attention to detail is just so good. The story is kind of meh, but it's a Pokemon, so that kind of tracks with the rest of Pokemon where the story's like, come on, my dude. But is this a fun movie? Yes, it is. I've seen this movie a ton of times, actually. I love it. Justice Smith is, I think he's working toward National Treasure status. He's doing good.
Yeah.
My man's in a lot of hits right now. Yeah, this is great. Raven, what did you think?
I also really enjoyed the movie. I don't think I've seen it since it was in theaters. So I think we saw it twice while it was in theaters. Chris and I went with some of our friends when it first came out because, theater perks. So watching it on the big screen, I was definitely like amazed with, all the aspects of what went into making the Pokemon and how everything like looked like it could have been pretty realistic. Also, let's talk about Psyduck at some point because Psyduck is just an anxiety attack of a person.
the low key hero of this movie, you mean?
Yes, of course. But rewatching it, I was sitting there just kind of like, wow, this movie is actually kind of funny. I guess I kind of just forgot about how like silly some of the jokes are. But I was just over there like cracking up, and Chris is at work, so I'm texting him like, "Oh my god, I'm watching Detective Pikachu. This shit do be kind of funny." And he's just like, "Oh yeah," because I don't think he's even watched it since we went to see it in the theaters. But yeah, I love the way that like they make some of the Pokemon look. I like that Pikachu looks kind of fuzzy. I do remember it, like, in the beginning scene when you see the Snorlax, like, asleep in the middle of the road. I did think he looked overly fuzzy, but that's my biggest critic on that. It's just because Snorlax is, like, my favorite Pokemon. So, for him to look like this big ol'... I guess they were trying to make it look more like bear type fur,
Yeah.
which makes sense, but I don't know. It came across a little weird in my head.
I think the textures on the Pokemon are incredible. I feel like the computer system that generated just the Pokemon in general must be on fire somewhere, because they were putting in work to make them look as good as they did.
Yeah.
The Greninjas, the Charizards, like that underground club scene had so many background Pokemon, and they all looked so good. And when that Magikarp fell out and it was literally just glistening, I mean, it was just little small. Mr. Mime looked good.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like,
you know,
Mr. Mime, but he did look pretty good for his character.
and they had my boy. They had my boy
Ludicolo.
Ludicolo. And I'm not gonna lie, it made my day when I saw him in the trailer. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. Like, they've done it. We've landed on the moon. I mean, this. It's weird to say this about a Pokemon movie, but this has the absolute best CGI characters I've ever seen. Best special, like, this is so wild to me that the Pokemon movie is this good, because it does not need to be this good.
Right?
And I think go ahead.
No.
Go
I
ahead.
was just
Go
going to
ahead.
say, I really wish they would make, like, more Pokemon movies because, we definitely saw, like, the same repetitive type Pokemon, so I want to see what they could do for, like, some of the other regions, to be honest.
Yeah. Actually, I was thinking a very similar thing. Make a sequel to Detective Pikachu in the same kind of vein, but make it about the like the Pokemon League. Make it more like the video game, but like condense it down to a kid who, we don't have to start him off when he's 12, but like make it 16 and he sets out on his own. He wants to move to the big city and be a Pokemon master and fights whatever, have a cameo with Justice Smith and Ryan Reynolds. Let Ryan Reynolds, quote unquote, executive produce it. But because that's really all we got was just a little bit of a snippet of the actual Pokemon League, of some girl with like the huge hair and a Gyarados behind her. I think she had like a Arcanine right next to her, and I was like, that's the character that I want to see.
Right?
I want to see her just like go get him, That looked really cool. So that's the sequel I want to see, and I know, it would make $1 bajillion.
Exactly. Oh, they could, like, do some cool, train scenes where you just got, like, some of the more, like, recent type characters even. Not necessarily, like, the latest game, but, like, Grookey and Scorbunny. Like, that kind, like, I would really enjoy that. Just vibing on the train. Or, what is the... I just forgot of what it's called. The big, like, Raven type one that does the, like, it flies the little cars around. So you get from place to place in Sword and Shield. I cannot think of what it's called.
I can't
But,
remember
like,
either.
can you imagine how freaking cool that would probably look? I think it'd be amazing. I want to see it.
Yeah, and we don't have to if we do, or if we. I'm in Hollywood, guys. If they do make a sequel, we don't need all the extra stuff that comes with a Pokemon. Like, in a mainline Pokemon game. Like, we don't need the Team Rocket or whoever it is going, oh man, we're gonna seize control of the whole world by taking over Pokemon. We don't need that side quest of like, oh, we gotta find the legendary thing by blowing up a volcano. We don't need any of that. Like, let's just follow some kid training. We'll give him a little arch nemesis that beats him about halfway through the movie, and then he comes back and beats him on his way to the, to becoming, league champion or whatever. Let's do that. Very low stakes, but we can make it fun. We don't need to save the world on top of all that. Let's just keep the stakes low. So even if he does, even if he does lose, like, really no one outside the arena really cares.
Yeah, you're not like watching Ash Ketchum
right
go and do his thing. You're literally just watching some random Pokemon trainer that's just like, I got my Turtwig over here, just doing its thing.
Right.
That'd be fun. Man. Now, what more real-life Pokemon?
Yeah. This was... All right, yeah, let's talk about Psyduck. Go ahead. Talk about my man.
The little ticking time bomb of Psyduck. I love his character. Oh my goodness. I love that homegirl literally is just like, no, it's okay. We listen to this nice calming music and he sits in his little booster seat, so everything is okay and safe and Psyduck's good. And then at some point, closer to the end of the movie, where Ryan Reynolds' little Pikachu is like, oh wait, no, he should get a headache because that'll totally help us. And then he just completely explodes. I loved it. I love the, like, crazed look in his eye that you should definitely have from, like, any Psyduck. Like that person that you're, like, constantly like, hey, this person could just, like, explode at any moment, and we don't really know what's gonna happen, but that's Psyduck.
It's so... I'm astonished that Psyduck didn't make Pokemon like an extra bajillion dollars by just selling Psyducks in backpacks. Because that really seems like that money just would have printed itself. Or little talking Psyducks, you squeeze it and it just, Psyduck,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really should have, like, tried to make Psyduck a more prominent type thing for selling stuff. I agree with you.
For a company that is notorious about we are going to market and sell you everything we can possibly do to make money, it really seems like they dropped the ball on Detective Pikachu promotional materials.
Yeah. They had these little packs of Pokemon cards, and they all had, like, the same Pokemon. Like, I actually found them while we were moving all of our stuff, and I was like, oh shit, Chris, look, it's all of our stupid Regal Pokemon cards, where it, like, has a Detective Pikachu, and then it also has, like, maybe a Psyduck, and some other ones that you see frequently. I think there were only, like, 4 or 5 Pokemon that they actually had printed on each of the cards. And so everyone was like, is there going to be a Mewtwo somewhere? Or so the staff was just taking the cards, to be honest, because hardly anyone actually wanted the cards when we handed them out. And so I have a ton of those things that I, for a good bit until I forgot that we kind of hid them, I was just putting random Pokemon cards everywhere. We'd literally go out to dinner and I'd just be like, oh, here we go. There's a Pikachu sitting there behind the salt and pepper shaker. And Chris was just like, good. Sure, why not?
I need to start doing that.
It was fun. At the job that I was working, I just kept hiding them. And so the assistant manager would just be like, Raven, why'd I just find a Pikachu in here? And I was like, Guess you gotta catch 'em all, don't you, Steven?
Congratulations, good job, buddy. You found one. You found a Squirtle.
uh, Good times. But yeah,
Well,
definitely a
yeah.
good movie.
What do you think? What do you think about their choice to use Mewtwo? That do you think that was just solely based like, hey, when we did the Pokemon movie 20 years ago, we used Mewtwo. Do you think they probably should have used a different like main villain or like I don't know, seeing as how he wasn't really the villain per se, but
Yeah, I don't know. I did like to actually see a nice form for Mewtwo. Because
yeah,
honestly, he looked pretty dope. He or she.
he did.
Whatever it was. Uh, and I liked seeing Mewtwo use its powers to just kind of do things. So, I don't know. Maybe they could have gone in like a different direction. But at the same time, like, you're using some crippled dude that's like, I want all the power. So, what do I got? I got myself a fucking Mewtwo to transform into its body. That's what got the furries excited about Pokemon, you know?
Well, yep, was not prepared for that statement today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hi. I'll be here. Who knows how long on this planet?
The only problem that I have with this movie is the kind of big reveal that Pikachu is Justice Wilson's Justice Smith, sorry. Justice Smith's dad the whole time. It's Ryan Reynolds the whole time, which is the reason he sounds like this. And my first thought was, does my man not know what his dad sounds like? Like, I know they kind of set it up as like he's estranged, but it also actively seems like he's trying to be a part of this kid's life. So they kind of set it up as, like, hey, I'm busy, but I still love you, and I still make the effort to like reach out to you and contact you and do all this stuff, but you just don't want to talk to me. But you would at least know what I sound like. Like that's the part that kind of gets me. And I get it. It's a Pokemon movie, but that's the only part of the movie I really got a problem with.
I guess that's fair. If they had done like a little bit of a voice change with it, kind of like how when Mewtwo gets taken over and so the voice is like a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like that could have been nice, but it's Ryan Reynolds. Just
That's
being
true.
a little cute fuzzy boy.
And for some reason, Ryan Reynolds' cadence, the way he talks, the way his mannerisms fit perfectly in a Pikachu, which is so weird.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
There were times where I was like, man, I wish they would just like take it from a different view. Like someone just like sees this dude talking to his Pikachu and the Pikachu talks back to him and it's just like, bro, what the fuck is going on over there? I just wanted that like several times. Just like, I don't remember at what point in the scene I was like, man, I really wish they would have just done something like that. But I know they like did it a time or two.
If you look at the extras in the background of the scene where they're walking down like a busy alley of like food stalls, very, very South Korea, reminiscent of that. Right after the he falls out of the apartment and runs out and he's like, oh, the crazy Pokemon are coming to get me, and he's in his underwear. And that's when we kind of get the reveal that he's the only one who can hear Pikachu.
Yeah.
And he's talking to him like out in the open, like you would talk to a normal person. If you look at the background actors a lot of them are not English speaking, it looks like, because they look very confused that Justice Smith is just talking to what presumably is a Pikachu puppet.
Yeah.
And at one point I paused it and I look in the background and there's just a ton of confused faces. I was like, it's funny you should bring that up, because I was kind of thinking the same thing, because I paused it and noticed that. So yeah, there's just pay attention to the extras. They're back there. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Well, that's all I got about Detective Pikachu.
That's all I got about Detective Pikachu.
Word. All right. Let's move on to my favorite time of the week. Raven. Ooh 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 ooh. Tell me, what has made you happy this week?
I already kind of spoiled it, but celebrating my little baby's birthday. Little mudslide. Mudslide has been one of the biggest joys in Chris and my life. Mudslide, anywhere I go, he's like, I'm also going with mom. At least he can jump up on the couch in the bed and I don't have to pick him up like Boo. No shame to Boo. We do love Boo. But Mudslide is like my baby, essentially. And Chris gets so jealous because Mudslide's like, I'm team mom. Dad's fine. And Chris always just like tries to like make jokes about it too, because like he'll be cuddled up right next to me, and then Chris is like, I want to cuddle with Mudslide, and so he pulls Mudslide close to him, and Mudslide just kind of like growls at him, and he's like, oh, he's purring. It's like this whole like little dumb dynamic where Mudslide's just like, whatever, Dad. I just want to hang out with Mom.
That's funny.
Yeah, we had a nice little time celebrating our baby. We love our darling Mudslide.
Awesome.
Yeah. Mark, what has made you happy this week?
Well, I've kind of spoiled it a little bit too, because it's Breath of the Wild. Or excuse me, Tears of the
Breath
Kingdom.
of the Wild?
I'm gonna do that forever. Honestly, I've been playing Breath of the Wild for like a month to lead up to this, and it's just in-game stuff, just running around having a good time. That has been wildly entertaining. And Tears of the Kingdom is, I'm really looking forward to getting to a point in the game where I can comfortably kind of mosey around and I really get the mechanics and the physics of this new thing. And I'm enjoying learning this new process of playing this game, and that's super fun. Amy has made me extremely tickled this week. She has brought great joy because it's become kind of a running joke. I kind of made the offhanded comment that I said that Breath of the Wild sounds like an 80s kind of synth rock song, very much in the vein of Final Countdown. It's like, it's the breath of the wild, like that kind of thing, just playing synthesizers and guitars in the background. And Amy's like, no, Dad, no, that's silly. It's obviously a rock song that goes breath, breath, breath of the wild, breath of the wild, breath of the wild. And that has become a running joke for us now, where I'll just walk through the house and I'm singing a song that I made up that is completely nonsense. Going, it's the breath of the wild. And she comes around the corner going, breath of the wild, breath of the wild. So, yeah, it's little things like that, little moments like that around the house that have for sure made me happy this week.
Very nice. God bless that little child of yours. She does some silly little things.
She does. So, all right. make sure you guys follow us on the social medias. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Nerd for No Reason. You can follow me on social medias at Turtles Do It, mainly Twitter and Instagram. Raven.
Follow me on Instagram at That's So Raven Ellis. And that's all I'm going to promote this week. My Twitter is just me just posting some weird stuff sometimes. It's just like the most random stuff that I just am like, oh, this is cute. I'm just going to repost it. So it stays somewhere in my realm. A lot of Pokemon, though.
Word.
Anyways.
I use so little Instagram, it's absurd. I get on there for just a little bit. I check the socials of the show just to see what's going on. I check mine just in case someone might have posted something that I like. Mm-hmm. I only follow like 3 people on my personal one. So, if you got cool stuff and you hit me up and I'm like, hey man, you're cool, I might just follow you just because that's what heroes do.
Oh, is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Noted.
And with that, everybody, go do something wonderful in the world this week.
You guys going? Oh.
Oh.
What?
Like
Like
saving
what?
saving the kingdom of Hyrule.
Oh. Oh Lord.
From the gloom. Whoop whoop.
We'll see you guys next week on the Nerd for No Reason podcast.
No, say your catchphrase. Say your catchphrase, Raven. Do not let me stop your catchphrase.
You just threw me off, so I was just like, oh, we're adding stuff in.
Hold on. Let's back up. Oh. And with that, everybody, go do something wonderful in the world this week.
I was expecting you to say it again.
Nope.
Anyways,
nope.
Also go ingest some cool medias, and we'll see you again back here on the Nerd for No Reason podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, I'm gonna do a false ending and everything. I'm just gonna have the music.